All right, so today is January 16th, and it's been, the new year for about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And I've had something kind of on my mind, something that's been kind of weighing on me a little bit, and I just wanted to talk about it here. I've given it some thought, and I thought, you know what, I'll just record a quick video and share this because my perspective has kind of gone 180 degrees on this particular thought. And, I know that many of you also work either for a small business or run your own business. And so if you have been feeling the way I have been feeling, I wanted to share this with you in case it helps. So I've been feeling really guilty. I've been kind of beating myself up that I haven't been working hard enough and, that I haven't been doing enough and I haven't been, creating enough for my business. And I'm not I was kind of trying to unpack that and figure out where it was coming from. And part of it, at least part of it, is, with the holidays last month and, some travel on my end. I was visiting family. And then we came back from Michigan where my family is. And we had some more family visiting us here. And so I just felt like over the period of 3 weeks, I didn't do anything new. My business was kind of in maintenance mode, right? And I was responding to emails and replying to customers and my members, and but I hadn't published anything new. And if you follow my blog, you probably have noticed that there's been about a month where I haven't published a new blog post or anything, and I was upset with myself. I was feeling guilty about that because I love what I do, and I love when I'm able to put something out there that helps other people in some way or simplifies something or sparks an idea for someone. But I didn't. And I think where the guilt was coming from was just, we live in this increasingly digital world, and it's so easy to log into Facebook or to hop on Twitter and to see all of these other people announcing what they are doing, right? And so you can't really help but compare yourself to other people who are like you, people in your space, colleagues or competitors or whomever. If you see them doing things and you're not, right? Like I was at Universal Studios for one day, 2 weeks ago, and that very same day, I got 2 or 3 emails from other people in my space saying what their goals were for the year, their New Year's resolutions that they had made, and how they were going to read 1 book a month or 1 book a week, or they were going to, triple their business. And I saw all these groups that I'm in. People were saying to call out your goals and announce where you're going. And I could just feel the momentum from these other businesses, and that it was juxtaposed with I wasn't doing any of that for my own business. And it's not that my business is struggling. It's just that, in contrast with how visibly these other people were sharing their momentum, it made me feel like I was stuck or I was falling behind. And I know that that's silly, but I couldn't help but feel that way. And if you are in a similar space, you may have noticed the same thing among your network or your community. So as I've been thinking about this and kind of beating myself up, I started to ask, why do I feel that way? Because, Monkey Pod is my business, right? I report to myself. I'm my own boss. And so if I give myself permission to take that time to really unplug and be with family, or be with friends, or just, spend time with Sarah and Gatsby and like do the things that I love to do, what's wrong with that? And I think that's part of being a small business owner or working in the small business space, is affording yourself some of those flexibilities, right? It's not a get rich quick game, right? It's very much a passion driven industry and space. And so if I love what I'm doing and it's creating the lifestyle that I want, why would I feel guilty that I'm not doing exactly what other people are doing? And I started to think about the concept of hustle, right? And we hear this term hustle, and people talk about, hustling harder, and that's how you grow, and working when other people are sleeping. And like, there's just this mantra around hustle, and it's awesome if it inspires you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But it occurred to me that not everybody hustles the same way, right? And I did a project with a friend of mine, Jamie, last week, and she came over around 10 for a webinar we were doing. And she said she had gotten up at 5 and she had worked out, and by 10 a.m. she had had most of her day under her belt when we did this webinar. And I hadn't. I literally got out of bed when she was almost to my house for the webinar, and I was feeling guilty about that. But then later that same day, 8:30 p.m. or so, I sent her the recording of the webinar, and she said, "Wow, you're still working? I can barely keep my eyes open." And I worked for several hours after that, and I realized that, my day didn't start at the same time as hers, but it doesn't mean that I didn't get the same amount done, or that I didn't log as many hours, or whatever. And it occurred to me that, we work within these social constructs of 9 to 5 and Monday to Friday, and a lot of those are antiquated. A lot of those are just because of the way business historically has been done, and it doesn't have to be done that way anymore. Technology has evolved to a point where you don't need an office, right? You can work in a global workplace online, and not worry about missing a beat because you're not present for a meeting, because there's an infinite number of tools that allow you to show up digitally. So if all of those things are true, then where's this guilt coming from? And it's something that I've been combating, because it doesn't just happen, around this time of year, but it probably happens really any time that you see other people working and you are doing something else. Your priorities are on recharging, or unwinding, or relaxing. And I think that it's just time to give yourself and myself permission to be okay with that. And that was important for me, was recognizing that, like, I don't have to do what other people are doing in order to get where I want to go, right? Everybody hustles differently, and everybody creates their own path. And the sooner you recognize and, like, kind of come to peace with that, I think it's healthy to compare yourself to where you have been previously and make sure that you are growing. But I'm going to make a conscious effort to compare myself less to where others are, because that's not how growth is measured. And obviously their circumstances are different, and you don't know what time they started and what time they ended. You only know the piece of information that they shared, because people aren't sharing, hey, I'm taking today off, right? They aren't necessarily announcing that. They're only sharing the things that are really driving and building momentum for them. Well, largely. I know that's not true across the board. So anyway, that's kind of where I am at today. And I wanted to actually share a quick a Facebook post from a friend of mine, Dennis Yu, with Blitz Metrics. He is freaking brilliant. If you don't know Dennis, he's worth looking up. He's got a lot of content out there, and all of it is just really, really solid stuff. So this post was from Dennis on January 3rd, and I saw it at the time, and I saved it, but I didn't read the whole thing until recently, and I'm really glad I went back and read it, because Dennis does a great job of articulating several of the things that I've kind of been struggling to say in this video, and things that I've been unpacking the last couple weeks. So he said, I've done almost nothing the last 2 weeks. If you're not feeling as motivated as you think you're supposed to be, or as accomplished as the other people posting their impressive goals, take heart. It's steady progress over time that counts. Forward motion, even if just a few inches. What's the shame in taking a few days off? Does every day have to be picture perfect? You're right where you need to be, like a planted seed that will bear fruit at the right time. You don't need to yank up the plant by the roots each day, or triple the amount of water you provide. And that connects with me. I've done a little bit of gardening here over the last couple of years, and I'm getting into it, and it's time to replant. And yeah, no matter, you can't force those things, right? Or to mix analogies, he says, 9 women in a month can't make a baby. Just be who you are and let what's natural inside you take place with perfect timing. He said he spent the last couple weeks walking in the park, playing Pokemon Go, making endless batches of popcorn, and buying silly things on Amazon Prime, and not made much of a dent in the 500 emails he gets a day, or made some ambitious resolutions. And while most people are hustling, he's enjoying life with friends, and you should be too, without guilt or shame. And that's how I feel. Dennis says it perfectly. It's this guilt and this shame that we kind of impose upon ourselves, and I'm going to make an effort to let go of that and just do the things that I think will drive Monkey Pod in the best way. And if that means spending time with family, or relaxing, or recharging in whatever way that shows up, I'm going to give myself permission to do that. And if you need it, I'll give you permission as well. I hope this is helpful. It kind of reminds me of that quote. Geez, I don't remember who said it at this point. I'm sure if I gave it some thought, I think it was one of the US presidents, but he said if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 3 hours sharpening the axe, right? And I think there's something to be said, right? Working 24 hours a day isn't the way to get the most done, right? And just similarly, working 365 days a year isn't the best way to get things done. At some point, there needs to be a semblance of balance for the productivity to really thrive. So wherever that balance shows up, good for you for finding it. Thanks for watching. If this video made sense to you or connected with you or prompted some sort of inner reflective monologue or thoughts, share those. I'd be curious to know, because I know this is a little different than what I usually put out. Take care.